Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our service today. I've really enjoyed tuning into the online services, and I've been so grateful that the Temple Society has taken this initiative to embrace a new way of coming together. I really like feeling invited into people's homes and gardens as they speak. It's felt quite personal, even though it's so different to what we've been used to. And today I'm inviting you into our home. My children, Franz and Katja, are here and will also be joining in. There'll be some hymns, prayers and music. At the end of my lifeline is the wonderful Ange, who is such a whiz with the technology. Ange, thank you for being there and for guiding me through this process. As I've listened to the online services, I've often wondered what people are doing as they listen. Are you sitting in your comfy chair with a cup of tea? Or are you moseying around, tidying up the kitchen or getting some breakfast? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you for joining in today. I hope you'll find something to take away with you and to think about as you plan your new week. Or at least this will provide you a few moments of peace and mindfulness. I think it's so important to take a bit of time out from our daily routine to check in with ourselves and our spirits, our souls, our hearts, those things that get neglected a bit on our to-do lists. I always think a service gives you the opportunity to reset your thoughts, allow some introspection, some contemplation, some thanksgiving, and hopefully some uplifting. We'll begin our service with a hymn. It's number 45 and is called I Know Where I'm Going. Now, I realise in the current climate of our second lockdown in metropolitan Melbourne, many of us really don't feel as though we necessarily know where we're going. We're on a journey that's undoubtedly more uncertain and unmapped than any we've been on before. We really would like guidance, a light to follow, a sense of calm. I hope that as we come together today, you'll feel a sense of solidarity and comfort in the idea that we're on this journey together, and that we have each other. Please feel free to sing along wherever you are. Monica will guide us on the piano and with her beautiful voice. Thank you, Monica. She even set the hymn down a little, so I hope your lockdown voices can manage. Off we go.
I know where I'm going, and I know who's going with me. I know why there's music in the quiet summer morning. I know where I'm going, and I know who's going with me. I know why there's music in the quiet summer morning. Where are you going? Who will walk beside you? Where the night is gloomy, where is the light to guide you? And where's your gold and your silver brightly shining? Who writes the music in the quiet summer morning? I'm going where he goes, and I know he walks beside me. The love for which he died is all I need to guide me. He is my gold and my silver brightly shining. He writes the music in the quiet summer morning.
I hope you enjoyed that song and that beautiful green background, even though it's not a summer morning, it's a winter morning. Today we're going to be considering our view of life and the decisions we make along the way. I'd like to look at the section of the Bible that precedes the text that Theo addressed in his Founding Day service 2 weeks ago. So we're in Luke's Gospel, in chapter 19, and in the preceding chapters we hear about Jesus' public ministry in Galilee and his journey from Galilee to Jerusalem. In a moment, Katja will read the text from verses 1 to 10. We're using the Good News Bible.
Jesus and Zacchaeus. Jesus went on into Jericho and was passing through. There was a chief tax collector there named Zacchaeus, who was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but he was a little man and could not see Jesus because of the crowd. So he ran ahead of the crowd and climbed a sycamore tree to see Jesus, who was going past that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, "Hurry down, Zacchaeus, because I must stay in your house today." Zacchaeus hurried down and welcomed him with great joy. All the people who saw it started grumbling, "This man has gone as a guest to the home of a sinner." Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Listen, sir, I will give half my belongings to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone, I will pay him back 4 times as much." Jesus said to him, "Salvation has come to this house today, for this man also is a descendant of Abraham. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost."
Thank you, Katja. I still have a memory of sitting in the Sunday school classroom in the quite new at that time Templar Bentley Centre, listening to this story. Thank you, Dot. I remember thinking that I didn't know what a sycamore tree was. In a moment, you'll see a few pictures of some sycamore trees so you can imagine them. And in fact, you already saw one at the beginning of the service on the welcome slide. It's because of this little short story that the tree has become a bit of a symbol of clarity. Without it, Zacchaeus wouldn't have been able to see Jesus. It provides him an overview and a clear line of sight. For Catholics, the sycamore tree is a symbol of a place where they're able to have a clear view of their Saviour and the path that he shows to us. The sycamore is a beautiful shade tree in the same family as the fig tree. They can grow up to 30 metres in height with a similar spread, so Zacchaeus would indeed have gained a fine view. They can grow very old. Sycamore trees grew abundantly in the Jordan Valley, and their wood was highly valued because it was light and durable. So the tree has historically been a giver of fruit and wood, and the people who lived amongst the sycamores knew that they could rely on it for their livelihood. In the Jewish tradition, it symbolises regeneration, referring to someone who's been spiritually reborn. The sycamore tree also appears in Egyptian texts and was very important in ancient Egyptian culture. The hieroglyphic symbol of a tree is actually similar to a sycamore. The sarcophagi or coffins were carved from the wood of a sycamore tree, and when someone died, a sycamore was often planted next to the tomb. It seems that the sycamore was a symbol of protection for the Egyptians. So we can see that the sycamore can symbolise having a clear view, supporting human life, and representing regeneration and protection. Don't you wish that you could climb a sycamore tree now and get a view of which path to follow, or indeed of what the path ahead holds for us? I certainly do. Zacchaeus was a Jew, but functioned as the chief tax collector for the Romans. In the Roman Empire, tax collectors were responsible to collect and give a set amount of money to Rome annually. Any money collected beyond what they turned over to Rome, they kept. Many tax collectors, including Zacchaeus, were really unscrupulous. They became rich from overtaxing and defrauding the people in their districts. Jews assigned tax collectors to the category of sinner, along with adulterers, prostitutes, robbers, and so on. Now, Zacchaeus was physically short, so he climbed the tree by the side of the road. How wonderful to have actually glimpsed Jesus. And then Jesus called to Zacchaeus and invited himself to his house. Can you imagine? There weren't other occasions when Jesus did this. The people nearby begrudged him this experience because of his reputation. But for Zacchaeus, it was a radical turning point. It gave him clarity and direction. He decided to give half his belongings to the poor and pay back those he cheated fourfold. I wonder how many of us could imagine giving half of what we own to the poor. Where he had been controlled by greed, he was now controlled by love and care of others. In other words, he had a spiritual rebirth as a consequence of his encounter with Jesus in his home. Jesus' response was to declare salvation to Zacchaeus and his house. It was a truly decisive experience. Thinking about the sycamore tree and reading all about them reminded me of some of the work I've done with my Year 12 German students in the last couple of years. We've researched the topic of the German forest, remembering it as the location of many of the fairy tales, the Märchen, collected and published by the Brothers Grimm. It was once a frightening, dark place that people feared due to wild animals and unknown hidden dangers. The forests in Germany underwent many changes as settlements grew in their midst and trees were used for housing, eating, and cooking. When too much wood had been used, settlements had to be moved so that the people could access new tracts of forest. From about 70% forest cover around the time of Jesus' birth, Germany dipped down to only 26% forest cover in the Middle Ages. It wasn't until the early 1800s that the city dwellers pulled the Notbremse, or emergency brake, and started actively replanting the forests. Nowadays, forests cover about 32% of Germany's area, and most German cities have large green lungs in the form of forests that reach right into the centres of their towns. And caring for forests and managing the harvesting of wood is a very considered process. Forestry experts have learnt and observed so much about the trees that grow there. We watched a video created by the ZDF, German TV broadcaster, explaining how the forest is one giant organism connected by a subterranean network of mushrooms. These mushrooms have threads that wrap themselves around the roots of trees and help them communicate over considerable distances, and to know even how other trees are going, how they're faring. They exchange essential nutrients and care for the saplings nearby, and also actually sometimes for the old dead stumps of trees. They send sugars and nutrients to keep those stumps alive. Attacks by pests cause a reaction from trees, causing them to alert other trees of the dangers. They send out scents to communicate with the trees. And researchers actually collect these gases and their scents to test these hypotheses. And what's actually the effect of forests on humans? We now know that forest baths can actually help relieve depression to a certain extent, as the brain produces the feel-good hormones dopamine and serotonin, and our mood improves. Stress hormones are reduced. The immune system is stimulated by spending time in the forest. It makes us healthier. The clean air and higher oxygen levels have a positive effect on our bodies, and we just feel better. Some of you may recognise this information as concepts that are also expressed in the book, The Hidden Life of Trees, which I'm just going to show to you here. This is my copy of the book. It's by the German author Peter Wohlleben, and I know that other elders have referred to this book too. Peter Wohlleben spent over 20 years working in the Forestry Commission in Germany, but acknowledges that he knew about as much about the hidden life of trees as a butcher knows about the emotional life of animals. He now runs an environmentally friendly woodland. He studies the social life of trees, how they rely on one another and build communities. A tree can only be as strong as the forest that surrounds it, and each tree performs a specific role in the health and well-being of the forest. Our tree elders have much to teach us about relationship building and community. They allow diversity. They care for the vulnerable in their midst, and they can communicate in their own unique ways and a great variety of ways. One idea in the book that really appealed to me comes from the chapter Slowly Does It. And that's when it's explained that the mother trees shade their offsprings with their crowns. When they're doing that, they're in fact encouraging those little baby trees to grow more slowly than the young saplings would like to do. Young saplings want to grow very fast, and I think all of us parents know that. No breaking those teenagers. They just want to get out there and grow. The restricted light reaching the young tree means, though, that they're forced to grow more slowly. As a result, they develop greater flexibility and resistance to breaking in storm and resistance to fungal attacks. In a moment, we're going to see some images of forests. Some come from the redwood forest in the Otways, where I had a little solo getaway a couple of years ago, and I remember that feeling of regeneration and hope and comfort being in that forest. Some of the pictures come from the mixed forest stands in Germany, and some come from our own Dandenong and Yarra ranges. Please enjoy. hope you enjoyed that. I did. Apparently, just seeing pictures of green forests bring some of the calming effects that we experience when we actually are amongst trees. I hope you felt a bit of that. We've been considering the clarity that Zacchaeus found from his vantage point in the sycamore tree and his regeneration into a person who considered the welfare of others. In the Templar talk, I mentioned a few other elements for this service, including a gold coin in a handkerchief, investment, fear, and risk-taking. They come from the text that follows the story of Zacchaeus, the parable of the gold coins. Theo addressed this in his service 2 weeks ago. I really liked hearing Theo's thoughts because I had found the text challenging. The servants were literally being encouraged to take the risk to invest money and reap returns. The idea was not simply to keep the gold coin wrapped in a handkerchief. In the end, they were told, those who have something will be given more, but everything will be taken away from those who don't have anything. This seems so unfair. If you don't have anything, why should everything be taken away from you? What does it mean? Now I'm thinking, if that message is reminding us that we need to be accountable for our actions. We actually need to make something of the gift, that metaphoric gold coin that we've been given. We need to invest it and we need to take risks with it. Perhaps this really peculiar COVID time is our chance to think about the welfare of all people, not just some, not just people like us, or people we know, or people we like, but all people, regardless of race and religion, regardless of social standing. We need to care for our world. We need to think deeply about how heavily we tread on our home, on the earth. And we really must stop demonising certain groups and blaming them, listening to hearsay and anecdotal evidence. I think we need to be held accountable for our decisions, our spending, our investments. I think more than ever, it's important to invest in what will build strength in our human communities, our forests, both our real forests and our metaphoric forests. More than ever, we need to strive for the ideal world the early Templars believed in so fervently. If we can minimise the impact we have on the environment, if we can improve, replant, rebuild our area of the world, we will create a stronger network for everyone. We have a duty to our fellow humans, our fellow animals, especially our beautiful and endangered native species so under threat at the moment, and all our fellow trees. We need to become like the trees who in their secret lives, quietly and unobtrusively protect and nurture one another. Consider the sick and old and those without anything. So when you're up that sycamore tree and you're scouting around and checking in with yourself, your path, your guiding light, check your direction. Are you on the best course for your health, for the health of your family, your community, and for the health of our world? Do you need to make some adjustments maybe to get back on course? You might need to check in with yourself and care for yourself. Do you need to care for others? How are you able to care for others? Can you pay forward some good fortune for someone else? I've really enjoyed reading the articles in recent editions of Templar Talk and Templar Connect. I love Martina's initiative of linking Templars of all ages in writing letters. I loved hearing the story of Honey's pavers in Sydney, such a good story, and of Yvette's initiatives and Jeff's reflections of life in earlier times. If you've missed some of these, do gather up your copies of these things and relax on the couch, maybe this afternoon, and catch up. By fostering our interconnectedness and considering how we can reach out and build a stronger, healthier forest, we give our life direction, the direction that we are searching for at the moment. And when you're sending out your deep thoughts, your prayers, if you'd like to call them that, make sure you also listen to the messages from other community members and other messages that trees might be sending out. Recently, we've received a bundle of information from the Templar office, including our new members directory. And Katja was flicking through that directory recently and said, gosh, there are Templars everywhere. And she began reading out the place names: Cheltenham, Churnside Park, Mentone, Sylvan, Lilydale, Carlton, Beaconsfield Upper, Rhode Island, Fish Creek. And she said, imagine if I was somewhere and I needed help, I could maybe see if any Templars were there and I could contact them. And I thought, what a gorgeous idea, what a sweet idea. So maybe when you're on the couch this afternoon reading your Templar newsletters, you might like to have a look through that directory yourselves. Maybe there's someone in there you'd like to send a message to, maybe a phone call, an email, or note in the snail mail. I say just do it. Let's conclude our service this morning with another hymn before we finish up with 2 prayers. This next hymn is number 86 and is called One More Step. Monica has put it down a bit, but it's not super low, so you might like to take this opportunity to have a stretch and stand up to sing. Please enjoy.
One more step along the world I go, one more step around the world I go, from the old things to the new. Keep me traveling along with you, and it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. Round the corners of the world I turn, more and more about the world I learn, all the new things that I see, you'll be looking at along with me, and it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. As I travel through the wide and good, keep me traveling the way I should. Where I see no way to go, you'll be telling me the way I know, and it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. Give me courage when the world is rough. Keep me loving though the world is tough. Leap and sing in all I do. Keep me traveling along with you, and it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you.
In that hymn, we heard the world is rough, and I do think it is rough at the moment. We're allowed to say that. Still, we can do a great deal, and while we have each other, we have the ability to build great strength. Franz would now like to share a Maori prayer with you.
May the sun bring you energy by day. May the moon softly release you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the wind blow new strength into your being. May you walk on this earth in peace all the days of your life, and know its beauty forever and ever. Amen.
And I also have a prayer that I would like to add. It's from Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 7 to 8, with a request, Lord, please calm my heart and take my anxiety away. Blessed is the man or woman who trusts in the Lord and whose hope and confidence is in him. For he or she shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river. It does not fear when the heat comes, but its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, nor does it cease from yielding fruit. Amen.